How about some rapid fire?
Let's finish this thing up with some rapid fire. I think the people have been craving it. We came on a little bit late. It's everyone's favorite 15, 20 minutes.
That's right. And I actually came up with a bonus rapid fire that you were not expecting that'll be in here in the middle.
I'm always shooting from the hip.
All
So,
right. All right. Let's start with this. Over under 19 and a half total touchdowns that Drew Pyne will have at the end of the season.
all right. So they have played 3 football games, meaning there's 9 left, potential 1 in the bowl game. So 10. Do you know how many touchdowns he had last week? I need to ask that question first.
He had 2 last week after he
Okay.
had 1 the
So
week before.
Okay, so we're averaging about 1.5 per game. There's 10 games left, so that puts us at 15 on top of the 3 he already has, 18. Wow, that's a good number you set there. I'm gonna go.
I thought it was pretty good.
I'm gonna go with the over. I think if Notre Dame wants to have the success that they want and to kind of build off of have a good season, build off of some maybe early struggles, that he's gonna have to play a crucial role in that. So for Notre Dame's sake of success and where I think they're going to be from the start of the season to the end of the season, I'll take the over on that.
You know what? My initial instinct looking at this was going to be under because I do think I think the running game is going to continue to get better. I think the offensive line started to turn a page last week. Again, we've got to see that continue now this week. And with the running game getting better, there's a chance that that's going to take away some of those touchdown opportunities. But I think that Drew Pyne, again, if we can continue to see kind of some of the confidence grow for him and some of the defenses that he'll see, like Navy, Boston College, some of those down the road, I think he's got a chance maybe to pad it up a little bit. The wide receivers have to cooperate as well. Just like Marcus Freeman said today, a lot of last week was on Drew Pyne, but there were some drops out there as well. And when you've got a quarterback who's being a little bit inconsistent, you got to help him out. I think that ultimately, though, by the time it's all said and done, he'll get into a little bit of a groove this season, and I think he'll be over as well.
Yeah, it doesn't help, when you get your first drive of the game last week and you're 3rd and 1 and you pick up the first down and then it gets called back on a 5-yard penalty by one of your kind of senior leader wide receivers. That's just a perfect example of helping Pyne out. And then Notre Dame struggled to get that first down when they picked it up on their very first series. So it's just, you got to do as much as you can to help Pyne. I think the run game will help him, open up his kind of, personal play down the road. And I like that over. It's going to be close, but I like that over.
Yep, I do too. Do you buy or sell the Irish having a running back total more than 1,000 yards from scrimmage this season?
I buy that. I think Tyree is definitely going to hit that. Scrimmage yards, I'm assuming, is rushing and passing combined. Tyree's a good dual threat back. They've shown last week that they want to get him the ball. Audric Estime ramping up his power run game. I think his numbers are only going to start going up and up and up. I'm going to buy that one for sure. I don't know who it's going to be. I think that I think they're both actually going to come really close. Like if no one gets 1,000, I think both of those guys kind of sit around the 800, 850 level. And both of them are going to be very close. But I think that Tyree will be the one to get it. So I would say, yes, I do buy that.
Tyree is sitting on 164 total yards right now. Estime 173, and Estime has had a larger workload so far through 3 games. And you got to remember now, Logan Diggs was not in the mix last week. That's why we saw so much of these two. So if he's back theoretically this weekend, how much are they going to try to work him into the mix? What kind of jobs will they have him doing out there? I think I agree with Stymie. I think that there's going to be split workloads. I think Tyree is the one who's really going to give it a run between the two because of the true dimension that he has as a receiver. And I still think that needs to be tapped into more. Again, when you look at the state of the wide receivers that Notre Dame has, tapping more into Chris Tyree as a receiver of the football, that's where I think that, he can really explode from a total yards from scrimmage standpoint. But I think I'm going to sell it as well, because assuming everyone's healthy and you've got Diggs in the mix, I don't think that there's going to be one guy who's going to end up getting over 1,000 total. So I think I agree with you. I think that they can both be close, like in the 8 to 850 range, but I don't think they get over either one of them gets over 1,000.
Yeah.
Here's your bonus question for today that you didn't know about.
Uh-oh.
Fill in the blank. It's blank that Dan Orlovsky will be the analyst on ABC for Saturday's Notre Dame North Carolina game.
It's awesome that Dan Orlovsky is going to be the analysis. I didn't know that. This is, obviously I didn't know the question was coming. I didn't know that Dan was going to be the analyst for the game, but I really like him and the way that he breaks down game and the way that he goes about analyzing the game. I think he's a very kind of fair, on the fence guy, tells you exactly how it is, provides good analysis, overall pretty funny, played quarterback for a while. So obviously he's got the experience. So I'm looking forward to that. I like seeing people that are, enjoyable to listen to. I think he's one of those people, just a genuinely nice, good person, knows football. So I'm excited about that.
I didn't think you cared for Dan Orlovsky that much.
I didn't care for him when he was hating on Dak Prescott all the time, but he admitted he was wrong. And so we let bygones be bygones.
Okay. All right. You guys mended fences, huh?
Yeah.
I think
when the Carson Wentz is better than Dak Prescott conversations are being flown around, I took a little personal insult to that. So
I think he's pretty good as well. And, like as a game analyst, and he's doing more college games this year as a game analyst, that, I think he's got some of that Romo enthusiasm and stuff like that. They had him doing the split Monday night game the other night. I'm really going to be curious to see what kind of Tommy Reese comments Dan Orlovsky has and what kind of Drew Pyne comments Dan Orlovsky has in this game. Because, remember in the Fiesta Bowl, I mean, he was throwing the praise hard on Tommy Reese and what a great quarterback developer and quarterback coach he is and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to be really curious to see what Orlovsky has to say about Tommy Reese in this game Saturday.
Yeah, the gloves are kind of off. You have young quarterbacks. You have a scheme that's been really struggling. The first 3 games, you're not putting up as much kind of offensive firepower as you would. And so, that's what you kind of look forward to as a fan, is getting that kind of outside, unbiased, just raw opinion. You want to hear, obviously all Notre Dame fans have a bias when they talk in circles. Sometimes you're too harsh and sometimes you're not harsh enough. So having someone like him, being an offensive, I guess you could say, guru, or having a background in more offensive play, it'd be interesting to see kind of his opinions on a Notre Dame offense that's just struggling overall, and his assessment on Pyne and how Tommy Reese is using and utilizing his players to his best ability, given the quarterback situation that Notre Dame is in right now.
Yes. Fill in the blank, Jess. It's blank that Michigan versus Maryland is Fox's big noon kickoff game this Saturday.
It's more exciting than Michigan's matchups against Connecticut, or Hawaii, and Colorado State. I'm not saying that Maryland is this great, big juggernaut, but it's at least more exciting than everything else that Michigan has seen so far. I have Michigan friends that, friends that are Michigan fans. I did college up in Michigan, my undergraduate degree. And so I made a lot of friends, unfortunately, that were Michigan fans. And I got a text last week that I believe JJ McCarthy is going to win the Heisman. And I said, dude, play someone besides Hawaii and get back to me. And maybe we can have a conversation on that. It's not really impressive when Michigan's beating Connecticut 59-0, beating Colorado State 51-7, beating Hawaii 56-10. Again, I think Michigan's another one of those teams that's just largely overrated. They threw a bunch of easy opponents at the beginning of their schedule, and now they're looking. Everyone's boosting them up even more, and it's like they haven't played anyone. What have they shown you? They're not going to show anything. They play Maryland this week. They play Iowa the week after. They play Indiana the week after that. And then finally, in the middle of October, we finally get a true matchup for Michigan when they play Penn State. And then the next week they're playing Michigan State. So, I talk about this all the time. The Big Ten is not as powerful of a conference that everyone thinks. And when you throw on cupcakes at the beginning like that, it's a nice path for Michigan. So I'm just more excited to see them play maybe a team that's competent, a Power 5 school.
Well, but is it Maryland? Because, like Michigan, Maryland, it's basically like Fox is shelling out $1 billion a year with this new TV contract to plaster Michigan and Ohio State as much as possible in these big noon kickoff games. It's like, so, hey, here's what you get for it. You get Michigan versus, now, of course, that TV contract hasn't kicked into place yet, but we're just going to see more of this going forward. As much Michigan, as much Ohio State as you can. And you're absolutely right. Like I saw Fowler the other day was taking a shot at Michigan's non-conference schedule for that matter. And it's just,
it's brutal.
Yeah.
I can understand one game, but come on, like your first almost entire month of football.
And again, when these new TV contracts kick in, you're going to get these kind of matchups at noon. CBS is going to give you another Big Ten matchup, and then NBC is going to give you a primetime Big Ten matchup. There are only so many good matchups to go around. You're lucky if you get one a week in the Big Ten, and you're going to get 4 or 3 nationally televised games every week with all these TV contracts kick in. So enjoy that. Enjoy that if you're a Big Ten fan, I guess. Fill in the blank, Jess. Today is the 15-year anniversary of this.
After an athlete, one of my athletes, you go after one that doesn't do the right things. You don't downgrade him because he does everything right and may not play as well on Saturday, and you let us make that decision. That's why I don't read the newspaper, because it's garbage, and the editor that let it come out is garbage. Attacking an amateur athlete for doing everything right. And then you want to write articles about guys that don't do things right and downgrade them, the ones that do make plays. Are you kidding me? Where are we at in society today? Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. I'm not a kid. Write something about me or our coaches. Don't write about a kid that does everything right, that's heart's broken, and then say that the coaches said he was scared. That ain't true. And then to say that we made that decision because Donovan Woods, because he threatened to transfer, that's not true. So get your facts straight.
Apparently there was a lot not true about the article in question. 15 years ago today, Mike Gundy, I'm a man, I'm 40, blank, Jesse.
I love that speech, and for a lot of reasons. So for me, speech is just incredible. Every time I listen to it, I get fired up, and I agree with everything he said. These are his players. These are guys who do everything that are asked of them. They go to class. They're respectable young athletes, young men. And there's no reason to put someone on blast like that and to downgrade them for what? Amateur college football that people are getting to watch,
And remember, this was 15 years ago.
This was 15
years ago, so you can't fall back on the whole, well, NIL, they're getting paid and all that kind of stuff. So
right. And so it's just these kids are, humans too. They make mistakes. And, unfortunately we have fans who think that college football revolves all around them and, lets the game dictate their whole mood in that kind of situation. So I'm all on board for a coach like that, defending his players, sticking up for his players and saying, hey, if you got something to say, if you want to write about something, then just, write about me, put it on someone's back who isn't just, the amateur athlete. I am a grown man. I can take those things. There's no reason to be writing about these things, about these, kids in such an early kind of stage in their life when they're still growing, they're still learning, and they're still making mistakes.
Yeah, I always love the fact that he was sticking up for his player. Was it maybe a little bit over the top? Maybe, but I did love the fact that he was sticking up for his player. And I remember reading the article at the time, and there were, and I can't remember a lot of specifics about it, but there were sort of accusations being pointed at the specific player, like calling him lazy and, some of this different stuff. And it was, and I remember this, like the sources being cited, it was rumors and innuendo, those kind of things. So like you're naming a specific player, you've got this, and like he held up the article. It was like a full front page article with pictures and, photos and the whole thing. It seemed like a little bit too much, for like like if you were in New York City and you were citing some of these things again about a professional athlete, I felt like it would be one thing. But as he said, for a college kid and some of the things that were being said, and truly, I just remember lack of actual, sources and the kind of things being said about this kid. I agreed with basically the point behind what Gundy was saying, and it's just a classic, is what it is. I think I'm a man, I'm 40, and he's now 50. And the other thing that I remembered is, Gundy and I are about the same age, because I think he's, like I was about to turn 40 at that point, and he was a man, he was 40, and now he's 55, and I'm about to turn 55. He's still got much better hair than I do. So,
always has great hair.
He will always have that. He will always have that. Tom Brady against Aaron Rodgers this weekend. They're reportedly not very close. What do you make of that?
I make of that I don't blame Tom Brady for not wanting to be close with Aaron Rodgers. I respect Aaron Rodgers for his quarterback play and all of that. I think he's a Hall of Famer and just a truly great quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks that I've seen play in my time of being an NFL fan and all of those things. But Aaron Rodgers is just a weird guy. He's just always doing something extra, just trying to be different than everyone else, and this very free spirit thinker and all those things, which is fine, but he's just a weird guy. Like I at the end of the day, practice is over, the off season's coming. I'm not being like, hey, Aaron, you want to go take a trip to Cabo together? Like that's probably the last person I'm going to go take a trip with. So, I know that it's obviously fueled probably beyond that too. The two great quarterbacks kind of, battling with each other. I'm sure Aaron thinks he's better than Tom, but Tom just holds up his hand and says, count all these rings on my finger. And that really ends the discussion. So, and, there's obviously animosity because they're probably the two best quarterbacks over the last 20 years to play. And yeah, it's just, if you already have that fuel against each other against football, and then you add in the fact of, kind of the smugness of Aaron Rodgers, I don't blame Tom Brady for not really, seeking a relationship with Aaron Rodgers. And especially if Aaron Rodgers has made it very clear that he wants nothing to do with Tom.
Yeah, they're two different guys. You've got like this bachelor who, is in some high profile relationships, but doesn't really.
I think Brady might be a bachelor here soon if he keeps playing football.
Say. Brady's been the family man. How long is he going to stay a family man?
Have you seen those pictures of him? He looks like he does not sleep and rips about 15 cigarettes a night. Like his cheeks, the definition on his cheeks
right now. I know.
And now he just randomly gets every Wednesday off. He must be going to spend every Wednesday with the family.
He's doing something.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just
no,
thought it was
that's
funny.
okay. That's okay. I just think, I kind of miss the old days of like, not everybody had to be friends, because now it's like everyone's out playing golf together and stuff and I'm not saying you've got to be enemies because you play on other teams, but it seems like, again, like guys back in the day, they didn't necessarily hide it. If they didn't like each other, they didn't like each other, and they might throw some shots at each other. But now everything's watered down, in part because of social media, and everyone acts like everyone's got to be friends and that kind of things. Tyler Evans says that Brady looks like a White Walker, and you're not wrong about that. It's like is he the Night King for that matter? But yeah, like it's okay if they don't like each other. They don't have to like each other. Right. They go out there and they're going to play on Sunday. That's all there is to it. So
just
I've got
two
no
big
problem.
Time competitors, really, at the end of the day. There's just, I think they're so competitive that's what they're focused on, tunnel vision themselves, and they're not really worried about, oh, I wonder if Tom likes me. Oh, I wonder, I should see what Aaron's up to today.
Right. Fill in the blank. It's blank that Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow's deleted all social media from his phone.
It's what Joe Burrow might need. The Bengals are struggling, and sometimes it's just best to get rid of all that stuff, cancel all the noise out. You're doing bad. The team's been doing bad. You're not living up to the expectations. You're 0-2 against teams you probably should have beat. The last thing you need to do at the end of the day is get on Twitter and Instagram and read, that you're playing bad. people know when they're playing bad. And the last thing they need to do when they're trying to relax and kind of disconnect is go on their social medias and see people bashing them even more. So
That's right.
I respect the move, and I think it's a great decision. I think a lot of athletes should delete their, social medias during the season. I should delete my social medias here and there. Everyone needs a break. We become so consumed and we get so caught up with what everyone else is doing, what everyone else is saying. When sometimes you just got to focus on yourself to correct things.
I agree. When you're a high-profile quarterback like Joe Burrow, you've just been to the Super Bowl and you won a Heisman. You did all these things, and you got all this social media following, and everyone is so. Like we were talking a couple of weeks ago about the guy who DM'd Amon-Ra St. Brown because he drafted him on his fantasy team, and now you remember, like we read off the whole quote that he had sent Amon-Ra St. Brown, and it was actually the thing from Denzel Washington in Remember the Titans, and it wasn't what he said that I took issue with, because I did know that it was a reference from Remember the Titans. It wasn't what he said that I took reference with. It's the fact that you're DMing a guy who you drafted on your fantasy football team, and you think that that's acceptable to be doing that. So, like, if I'm Joe Burrow with those kind of things in mind, and you're off to the kind of start that you're off right now, I think it's great that he's doing it. Just get away from all that noise and go focus on playing football. Last question for tonight. With Aaron Judge chasing home run number 61 for the season and Albert Pujols chasing number 700 for his career, would you want to be the pitcher who is forever remembered for giving up one of those milestone home runs?
Yeah, who cares at that point? I think that becomes the talking point at that situation. We should be talking about all the other pitchers that gave up home runs 1 through 60 and 1 through 699. It's not your fault. You're the cherry on top. I think it's the kind of the cool part. If I'm the pitcher and Pujols is sitting at 699, I'm lobbing him a fastball down the middle. I'm making sure that my name is known, that he got 700 off of me. Who cares at that point? It's the end of the season. It's not like it's going to be some detrimental at bat. I'm not saying just lob it in there, but give him a good fastball down the middle with no spin or anything, no cut or sink, and just let him see if he can get it. Go mano a mano, challenge him. And so, to me, there's no real difference. I think it'd be kind of cool, especially if there's probably going to be something that ball would hopefully get retrieved, and maybe it'll even say their name on it in the Hall of Fame. Albert Pujols versus career home run number 700. So, to me, it doesn't matter. Like I said, it's more on the people who gave up 1 through 60 and 1 through 699.
So I was thinking about this after I came up with this question. If I was like Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, Clayton Kershaw, like a Hall of Fame legit caliber, that kind of pitcher, like an upper echelon pitcher, no way I want to be remembered for that, because I'm a Hall of Famer. That's not what I want to be attached to. I don't want to be remembered for giving up Aaron Judge or Albert Pujols or Barry Bonds or whoever's home run. But if I am, your run-of-the-mill reliever that most people have probably never heard of, and I've bounced around on 8 different teams in the course of my career. Now, it's an accomplishment to be in the big leagues and all that. But if I'm that kind of pitcher, then I don't mind. Like everyone remembers. Everyone remembers Dennis Eckersley because of the Kirk Gibson home run. That was also a big moment. That was the World Series, and it's a negative that you remember Dennis Eckersley for that, because like Eckersley was untouchable that season.
There's no such thing as negative PR.
So if again, like if I'm like a legit Hall of Fame caliber pitcher, I would not want to be remembered. I would not want to be linked to one of those home runs. But if I'm, the other 98% of the pitchers in baseball, I wouldn't mind if 20 or 30 years from now that they're like, yeah, Joe Thompson, he's the guy that served up Aaron Judge's home run. I can live with that. So that's how I'd go. All right. Well, again, appreciate everyone's patience for earlier tonight. We had a little bit of problems getting started, but we managed to get through once we got things rolling. Don't forget, we've got IB Countdown to Kickoff coming up, 10 o'clock. this Saturday morning. Jesse, great stuff as always from you, and I will talk to you soon.
Sounds good. I'm gonna give my prediction out right now. 27-20, Notre Dame pulls off the victory. That is, since people
27-20. Okay.
people don't get to see or hear my predictions, I'm just throwing it out there before logging off. 27-20, close game again. I think Notre Dame pulls it off.
All right. We've got our predictions coming out tomorrow on irishbreakdown.com. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us tonight. Don't forget to hit that like button, rate, review, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. We'll talk to you Saturday morning. And on this show, we'll talk to you next week. IB Nation Sports Talk.
Go Irish.